it's fantastic to see things that are made a long time ago. I love seeing them. For me, it's a great privilege. You know, I live a life that's very fortunate, very privileged now. Sometimes when I say things, people listen to me, which is, you know, interesting. And I can only hope that sometimes I have something interesting to say. The space is very eccentric, like Gaudí, who was, you know, a bit, you know, boop, boop. What you get is something extraordinary. This is what you get in Barcelona. It's very Barcelona, and I like that very much. Barcelona is a beautiful city. I have a lot in common with Gaudí because here's the thing, to be an individualist like he is, and I am of course, you have to have no fear. To be an individualist, it means that you are going in the wrong direction according to the majority. But history shows us that the majority is almost always wrong. And yet we do the same thing again and again. Gaudí is a hero now because of various historical factors, which is fatigue with geometric modernism, represented, for example, by Mies van der Rohe and Montjuic. That's not so interesting for us now. We have a feeling that's closer to regret, I would say, about nature and our fear of losing our relationship with nature, with AI. And then you have this celebration of diagonal. When I was doing my paintings in the beginning in New York, people said, the problem is, it's not this and it's not that. In other words, it's not expressionism or severe conceptualism. And I said, correct, it's both. And I want to have both. And I think one or the other on its own is dangerous, metaphorically and politically as human behavior. And art is very important. We can't use art just to make entertainment. Art should have deep meaning, symbolically, metaphorically. And to bring us back to Gaudí, it has great meaning. The curve, the relationship with nature has huge meaning now for us. And so the spotlight, the human spotlight, moves from severe minimalism, looking for a new home, and then it stops on Gaudí. And this is a little bit what's happened with me. My work has come into focus, but it's because of external forces. See if you know what I mean. You can't prevail if your work has no application to human need. My relationship with color is a question I'm asked a lot because my color is different and it's made in a different way. My relationship with color is to make color that is not disembodied. That's very important to me. I don't leave this out of the process. I include the sense of material in the color. And I do this with the canvas with the surface I paint on, whether it be recently copper, which is an element, and aluminum, which is another element. And I have a strong relationship with stone, which you can see in the sculptures, which correspond beautifully with Gaudí, I have to say. And you see in my surfaces, they are a little bit world weary. The color is bound up with this weight, and that is what makes them different from everybody else's, because I think other people separated color from body, and they make color, especially now in computers and so on, and that's not color that has a strong relationship with the world in which we live, which is in fact a giant rock spinning around in space. It's full of emotion and metaphor. The edges are metaphorical. The edges in my work are not soft by accident, and they're not just soft either. They're always broken with stuff from behind showing through, subverting what's on top. So in other words, what's on top is made by what's behind, and it's put on top of what's behind. So that's, in a sense, a metaphor for history. I don't like to be controlling, and at the same time, you can't paint nothing. I use colors that tend to be in between. This gives huge license to people to use the paintings. And paintings are meant to be used. Now, the other abstract artist that people refer to a lot in terms of deep emotion is Rothko. But my paintings are extremely different to Rothko's because they are much more structured, and they don't just lead to the same place all the time. His paintings are beautiful, admittedly they're very beautiful, but they lead always to the same place. And mine don't do that. You know, I have different metaphors, walls, carpets, windows, inserts, disturbances, etc. And this painting at the end with the lines on it is a little bit like what you see in when they make a carpet. But I can tell you where I got the idea. The idea comes from an incredible painting by Picasso in this funny museum, little museum in the south of France. And I always forget the name of the place. It's on a causeway, an island. And it has this insane self-portrait made up with 1,000 lines. And I really liked it because it was so mad. And I like this idea of drawing with these rough lines. They're brutal lines, and putting something on top that is somehow captured, suspended, like something like this, something hanging on a fence, which you see sometimes, like a bird had flown into a fence, you know, and is hanging on the fence. And that's a little bit like the painting in the last room. It's as if it's been blown onto something. You know, it's gone through the air like a magic carpet, and it landed on the painting. So there's lots of different ways to read my paintings. You know, a lot of different metaphors in my paintings, which is different from all the other abstract painters that I can think of. And of course, I don't know them all. But I thought that abstract painting didn't have to follow a simple line. And that's why I made paintings that seemed, in regard to minimalism, encumbered or hesitating. And in regard to expressionism, too controlled. And yeah, because I want everything. I can't live without music. I can't imagine the world without music. This brings us to another difference between the structures in my paintings, which have been described as somewhat geometric, and other geometric painters. Because what you see in my paintings always is this pulsating rhythm. It's not a structure that you see where things are placed, not at all. There's a constant tumbling movement in my paintings, where you see this kind of syncopation, you might say, like drumming or guitar playing or singing in a different rhythm, but in the same work, as if it changes rhythm from part to part. This is what I'm doing a lot, and that's a reflection of the music that I'm playing. It affects me greatly, and then I change the rhythm. Now you have near and far implications, of course, but also you've got something that's like this, and then it's doing that next to it. All you have to do is reduce the scale of the line, and it goes faster, and open it up, and it goes slower. So I have this all the way through my work. So they are, in fact, very musical, yeah. And that's a big difference between what I'm doing and what people who come from constructivism or Mondrian are doing. And I got this directly from blues and rock and roll, because that's my world. That was my ambience. I had my little rock and roll band, you know, for a little while. I was a singer. My mother was a singer, you know. Yeah, she sang Unchained Melody, and that's about rivers. Lonely rivers flow to the sea, to the sea. That's how it starts out. And there's a lot of reference in my work to the sea, and in titles, river, sea.